Presented by State Farm. All right, day 2, E3. Round 3 games, Vivid Touch booth. You know the drill that I've been doing in all of these videos. I'm very happy to be joined by Dave McCarthy, General Manager of Microsoft Studios. What a noble position.
Isn't it noble? Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Project Spark. I'm just going to start off. I assume it's called Project Spark because there is another name that's somewhere off in the distance.
Well, you know, that's an interesting point to bring up. So it's actually a deliberate naming choice for us, where this is something different. You know, you can't label it as a traditional game, and we kind of see it as an evolving movement, right? Project Spark's all about putting creations in the hands of everyone, and we liked the notion of kind of calling it an ongoing project overall. Spark, you obviously get the reference to the spark of an imaginative idea or something like that. So we're playing with this for now, and we think we might go with it.
I like it. Spark and Alan Parsons. That's probably
the
one time I can ever reference that band all in one time. So what is it? I mean, I've heard a lot of people, they kind of look at it maybe through the lens of Little Big Planet, a little bit of Minecraft, but there seems to be both creation and some more traditional gameplay that's offered in it.
That's right, yeah. We've kind of invented our own term for it. So we call it an open world digital canvas. And the reason we chose that is because it really is an evolving experience. It's not just a tool set. There are tools in there, but there are games and gameplay moments woven throughout this kind of digital canvas that we've put together. And we showed sort of the 3 main elements that make it up. There's a blank editor, which is where we started to kind of sculpt things.
You know what? Let's go ahead and start running this tape.
Let's do it.
You're going to be watching yourself.
I'm going to be watching. This is weird. Yeah. This is actually an example. We call this Crossroads. So this is a series of narrative choices that somebody can make to kind of bring their imagination to life. We used Connect VUI, obviously, in this particular example. You can use keyboard mouse on PC, you can use controller on either platform.
Now, will this be shared? If you're using PC, will that be sharing with the Xbox One?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so you got this cool thing where I can create on one screen and play it instantly on another, which is awesome.
So obviously this would be your editor. What was quite striking about this is how quickly this seems to be happening. It looks like UI and not trying to make a huge burden for the less experienced player.
That's right. No, the idea is you can jump in and, you know, with touch, with controller, you can pretty well build anything. So you can sculpt things, erode terrain, paint it. We have these biomes that kind of fill the landscape quickly with a bunch of elements.
Are you pulling from sort of a menu of available assets and just kind of dropping them in there?
It's kind of a mix of 2 things. You're kind of building a lot of stuff from scratch yourself if you want to, literally sculpting objects, or selecting from a large catalog of items that you can deposit into your world. Again, you can do that all through voice search, or you can do it through controller entry. And then here we're showing, you know, the ability to give everything a behavior. And that makes this, you know, more than just kind of a world editor or a world builder. This is what gets you to essentially create.
You're getting into the AI there.
You are.
So yeah, we are getting a little bit closer to what game design.
Yeah.
Albeit, real game design these days is quite sophisticated.
It is, but what's interesting is we can use this visual programming language to either build things from scratch, like we did with the Rock in the demo. We gave the Rock a little brain to follow me around on screen there. Or you can take what others have built, and that's where the power of community comes into Project Spark as well. That I can play and basically fool around with anything that somebody builds, and I can put that in my own world or my own game and make my own riff on that.
What's the nature of the sharing? How are you going to be able to discover what other people have done? I mean, that strikes me as what has always been the biggest challenge for games of this nature.
Yeah, totally. So we didn't show it on stage here necessarily, but there's a huge community built into Project Spark. So we have a full community site, curated content. You know, we'll search on or curate on categories, recommendations, what your friends are playing, all those different things.
Are people voting, and that's kind of bringing stuff up to the top of the
Everybody
list?
rates stuff. We track the lineage of a game, so we know everybody that sort of touched it and modified it over time. So everybody kind of gets credit for building these things together. And that's really where, you know, this evolving movement, I think, with Project Spark comes from, is that things just get better and better as people build on each other's ideas, and they're all available in the community to play.
Okay, so here what we're looking at, this looks like a game, as we all know.
Yeah.
Is this all from one person's creation, or at some point does kind of Project Spark take over, and now I'm just kind of enjoying having challenges inside of my own environment?
You know, I mean, you can get to the the beauty and complexity of this environment through that level editor and or the crossroads narrative choices that we showed earlier. This actual level was a riff done by several people who are doing our alpha right now. For instance, the mech you see on screen there is actually, somebody took a bunch of the houses and the parts that we had in other areas.
You can kind of see that there on the shoulders.
And built them together, yeah. So that, that was an example of the community kind of riffing on that. The carving of the trench was an actual brain that somebody had built to say, have a control to throw a fireball down and morph the landscape overall.
But in terms of the enemy AI, coming down the hill, was that all designed? I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I've made the world as the player, will I have a moment of surprise?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll have surprise in a number of ways. So there's a bunch of default brains that you can pick. I can turn that into a first-person shooter, a third-person action game, a platformer. We've got all those brains and logic built for you already, and that will just naturally evolve. You can, of course, toy around with that and build it and make it your own. But a lot of surprise comes through those narrative choices in the crossroads I talked about, right? So we only showed a glimpse of kind of picking terrain elements there.
When I see woods, I'm not thinking that's a narrative choice.
Exactly.
I think of a geographic choice.
So we do things like, what's your quest? Who are you trying to save? Who's the enemy? What's the personal struggle you're trying to come over? A bunch of choices that basically create the world's best choose your own adventure.
I was about to say, it's kind of, a 3D rendering of Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, and you can go back, and this is what I noticed with a lot of people playing with it right now, you can go back and change any of those choices, and the output is a totally new, surprising game for you every time.
All right. I'm officially intrigued now. Now that I better understand what Project Spark is all about. Awesome. Will this be available at the launch of the Xbox One?
So we're talking about it being in the Xbox One launch window.
Okay.
And we've got actually a beta that will be coming up soon on Windows 8 is where we're going to start. And we didn't mention it during the show, but we're also going to be on Xbox 360.
All right. Well, awesome. I'm looking forward to hearing more about this. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right.